welcome back to Manic Metallic's YouTube channel. I'm Liberty Gaither, the founder and editor-in-chief. Today we're going to be taking a look at the third and final full day of New York Fashion Week and some of my observations that I pulled away from taking a look at the shows. Now the first designer that I want to take a look at is Kate. Now Kate's show was the first show that I caught of the day, and I thought that it was really interesting. There was the models were in I believe it was some sort of a dark room, and they were being filmed, and it felt very voyeuristic, very intimate. The camera would get really, really close up to them, and it felt really voyeuristic. And there was this music that went along with it, where if you've ever watched any suspenseful movie, any alien-sounding thing, I felt like that really added to the atmosphere. In fact, the entire virtual presentation seemed pretty alien and otherworldly, and I feel like that added to the clothing itself, which, in terms of a color palette, she had a lot of navy blue, black, and white, and a lot of exposed collarbone and chest, and I think that that also added to the mysterious sexiness of what she was offering. So, I was really into her work, and, I definitely recommend that you guys go take a look at it. I mean, even if you do nothing but take a look at the virtual presentation itself, it's worth a look. The second designer I want to take a look at is Sankaset, and their work, I think that it was really interesting as well, because it drew inspiration from nature. That inspiration that a lot of other designers have pulled from already, wanting to reconnect with the world around us, reconnect with the scenery, because, we've all been inside recently. And it was one where she used like really vivid colors because she wanted to just like emulate that feeling of being outside with just like this really bright imagery, like with flowers, with leaves, and so she tried to have that come across in her work. And the really interesting thing about this is that she wasn't actually outside. So she's influenced by nature, but she wasn't outside. She put up pictures of nature in a studio, like large pictures of nature, and the models stood in front of those and, did their work. And so I feel like, just that fact that she put up pictures of nature instead of going out into nature to do these shoots, I think that it shows a certain level of disconnect that we have with the outside world right now. And, even though we're getting back to normal, it's not completely back to normal. And so I feel like that the fact that she had those nature pictures up got the point across. Now, the third designer that I want to take a look at is Alice and Olivia. Now, Alice and Olivia, I feel like their work always tends to be really vibrant and full of life, and this time wasn't any different. It was colorful. It had, a lot of, I feel like their work tends to frequently inspire joy. So if we want to have a Marie Kondo reference, her work sparks joy, like Alice and Olivia's work. So I feel like the collection has some of everything. It had cargo pants, that had fringe, ruffles, jumpsuits, colorful stripes. So, if there are very few collections where there is actually something for everyone, and I think that this is one of them. So, if you want to go take a look at their collection online, definitely do that. You'll find something there. The fourth designer I want to take a look at is Vivian Hu. Now, Vivian Hu is, I feel like she did a really good job at nailing the stay-at-home wardrobe. It was all very comfortable work, very comfortable clothing. A lot of the pieces were loungewear, and she created them to be loungy, of course. You can be at home, but if you wanted to wear them somewhere else, like out to a socially distanced picnic or out to have an outdoor lunch, something like that, then you could do that. And, these clothing would work just fine for that. They're all really feminine, really comfortable. The color palette was light, a lot of pastels. She's doing a few black garments, but, except for those, I found it to be really, really, really comforting. It was a really comforting collection to take a look at, and I feel like it'd be equally as comfortable to wear. Now, the fifth and last designer that I want to take a look at is Tom Ford. And Tom Ford, of course, is the chair of the Council of Fashion Designers of America. And I feel like it was a really, really important thing that he did to show a collection for New York Fashion Week, virtual as it might be. I feel like it was really important for him to do that because so many of our big name designers in New York have, dropped out this season, didn't want to show for whatever the reason is. Can't get their suppliers to get their fabric over in time, just not feeling the creativity, whatever it is. They elected not to show, and on the one hand you can understand that, but on the other hand it's kind of unfortunate because look at all of the designers that did show. They did show up, they made an effort, and they basically showed up for New York City. And I feel like there have been so many instances recently in which people have said that the city of New York is dead. New York fashion is dead. New York, basically, there are so many iterations of New York City is dead right now that it's head spinning. And one thing that's really important to understand about New York City is that it's a city that has constantly undergone all kinds of problems, all kinds of upheaval, and New York City always comes back. And so I think that Tom Ford, as the chair of the CFDA, originally having the thought that, maybe he should, maybe fashion should take a break for a year, but obviously he ended up presenting a collection. I think that the fact that he ended up doing that showed solidarity with New York fashion, but it also showed solidarity with the city of New York. And again, New York City is not dead. It's not going to die. So I feel like people should really get that thought out of their minds quickly. In terms of the actual work that he put up, he showed a really fun collection, I would say. Something he didn't want to put up any really serious work. There's so much in the world that's serious right now, and to create another serious piece of work or pieces of work would just be, why would you do that? Give people an escape. And so that's what he did. He had a lot of leopard prints, he had some zebra prints, flowers, tie-dye, he had a few swimsuits in there, a lot of dresses, and again, it was just really casual and fun, and it's something to definitely appreciate. Tom Ford always does really good work, and this was a more casual version of that work. And last, I'm going to take a look at a few themes that I picked up from this third day of New York Fashion Week. And the first theme I want to take a look at is the 60s influence. I feel like a lot of designers today, and maybe a few in the past couple of days, but a lot today have definitely been influenced by the 60s, whether it's the hippies, flower power, flower prints, flower crowns, flower anything really. And just these really nice flowy dresses. That 60s influence is definitely there. And given the turbulent times that we're in, it's really easy to see how you could be influenced by the 60s. For one, culturally and politically, social issues, there's I feel like there's a direct relationship to where we were then and where we are now. And in terms of the hippie movement, I feel like that's something where if you're looking at that right now, like in the year 2020, and then you're looking at the 60s where the hippies were around, well, peace and love look pretty darn good. I think that we could use a bit more of that. And so I think that that's why these designers have that influence in a lot of their collections. And the last thing that I want to take a look at is New York solidarity. I do feel like there have been a few designers that, whose collections that I took a look at today that were really just showing solidarity with the city. And whether that was directly through their clothing or doing photo shoots, throughout the city, or, whatever that might be. Or the statements that they made that went with their collections. These designers are New York City designers. They're New York City designers. They're not going anywhere. They want to show that they're committed to the city that has given so much to them. And again, I think that they wanted to make the point that New York City isn't dead. And it's not going to be anytime soon. So that's what I've got. That's what I've got for the third day of New York Fashion Week. And again, if you liked what I had to say today, follow our page, subscribe to it, and social media links are linked below. Check out our website for our publication, manicmetallic.com, and see you next time.